Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Tosh Tales. So tonight, I have no clue where we're going with this episode. Um, I had an outline of, discussing David, and maybe we'll refer to David, but I just want to share my heart because this is a faith journey, right? This is a podcast centered around faith, life, and just real talk. And life, we deal with real things and we navigate real life while trying to remain faithful, keep our hearts pure, and keep our minds focused on Him. So I literally sat in bed for about 2 hours after work and fighting a space of irritation and frustration. And I couldn't ask God why, but I did ask myself, Tasha, why did you ever pray that prayer? Lord, help me be a light in the midst of darkness. I think I've been praying that prayer since I was s- elementary age. Lord, let me be a light in the midst of darkness. And I just continue to say it because it's just like we want to be a light. But what happens when we're in a place of darkness and our light is slowly dimming and we're tired of fighting? We're tired of all that we're experiencing and facing. We're tired of just having to fight through just to for that light to shine so bright, not for us, but for other people. What do we do? And all I can think is just like keep moving forward, which is right. We do keep moving forward, but how do we move forward? Do we move forward out of bitterness? Do we move forward just to check something off the box? Or do we move forward with strength and comfort and knowing that God will see us through? And that's just where I am. I don't want to be bitter when I move forward. I don't want to be frustrated when I move forward. I don't want to be, what's the term, lackadaisical? Like, I don't want to just breeze by just because while I'm in environments that may be dark. So I asked myself, Tasha, what are you going to do? So then, and now we can go back to David. I think about David. As I mentioned in the last podcast episode, David was appointed king. It just wasn't his time. I know more than ever where God is taking me, but it's just not my time. And it's at a point where I'm just like frustrated because it's like, Lord, when is it? But then I had the pleasure of, I don't want to say I preached a full sermon, but I had the pleasure of discussing this same thought with my parents' church a few weeks ago when they put me on the ballot and voted for me to just come up and share. And I literally told the church that all the Lord could tell me was, congratulations, you made it. And as I'm sitting here coming out of space of frustration and irritation and thinking about how can I move forward? How can I show up in the world tomorrow and be better than I was today? How can I show up and still have a light that's so bright that even though I may not feel the greatest on the inside, someone will watch me and see that light so bright and go towards the light, which is Jesus, right? So I am telling myself, just like I told the church, congratulations, Tasha, you made it. You made it without losing yourself. Not because you didn't have moments where you felt like, okay, I could have done this better. Okay, I could have responded in this way. No, because you continue, even in spite of all that you're facing, you continue to go forward. So, congratulations. So, if you're in that space of frustration and irritation, congratulations, you made it. Because I strongly believe when there's a level of frustration, level of irritation, something is happening, something is moving, something is shifting. Because if you didn't feel anything, that would be nothing's happening, right? So, David, I think about when he was in the cave, and y'all, I don't have my notes with me right now. I'm just going based off of memory. I remember when he was in the cave and David and other men were in there, and he had the opportunity not once but twice. He had the opportunity to go in, and he could have. taken Saul out. I don't wanna use the actual phrase, but he had the opportunity to take Saul out, but all he did was cut a piece of his garment. Saul spent so much time trying to take David out because of jealousy, and David still decided to say, "Hey, I'm gonna do what God told me to do. God didn't call me to take this man out, so I must be obedient." Even when the enemy is telling you this is your opportunity to give up, this is your opportunity to go back, this is your opportunity to say, you know what, I tried it, I'm moving forward. But when you hear those words, pause and think, no, maybe this is my opportunity to be obedient because I never know what's on the other side of my obedience. David had the opportunity to defend himself. Sometimes you have the opportunity to explain yourself. You have the opportunity to respond to emails, respond to conversations to prove you were right. And if David had taken Saul out, and some of you may be going through some things that if you had taken the opportunity honestly, it's just like we'll be like, but were you really wrong though? Because I know some of us wanted to take that opportunity. But every time I think about David, I'm reminded that that opportunity does not always equal permission because it's like, what did God say? I made a statement. I said, today I'm tired. I can't continue operating in this space and in this way. But is God giving me permission to walk away from the darkness because I'm tired of being a light? I'm tired of exerting X amount of energy? Or is He calling me to keep moving forward and just cut off a piece of the cloth instead of cutting things completely off? Is He calling me just to cut off a piece of cloth and push through, not for me, but for someone else? Just like Joseph. Joseph didn't go through just for him. He went through for someone else. The Lord literally forbid David to touch Saul. So, whatever it is, whatever you're facing, whatever you're frustrated with, whatever you may be irritated with, seek God and ask God, Lord, am I supposed to touch this? Am I supposed to touch this? What's your Saul? Who's your Saul? We may not have everything that God has promised. David didn't either. But every time he chose integrity, he was closer to the throne. And maybe that's your story too. Maybe you haven't arrived yet, but you survived. You didn't quit. You didn't become bitter. You didn't seek revenge. And you didn't compromise who you were. So you made it. And if you're feeling like me tonight, and if you're still in the cave, don't lose your heart. Because God doesn't prepare kings on thrones. He prepares them in caves. So my prayer for you tonight is whatever cave you are in, wherever you are in your journey, just remember God's promises never require you to compromise your character. Keep trusting, keep growing, keep choosing integrity because your cave is not your destination. It's where God is preparing you for what's next. So until next time, take care and remain faithful, remain pure, remain holy in your cave until you reach your throne. Have a beautiful night, beautiful morning, beautiful evening whenever you're watching this. I love you, and so does our Heavenly Father. Take care.